a lower thirds graphic using Photoshop and then animating it with After Effects. Okay, so what we're going to do here is open up Photoshop. And just to show you what a lower third graphic is, it's essentially an overlay graphic that you put over top of video footage. Okay, so in this case, it's a lower third graphics for news. It'll have the logo of the newscast. It'll have a ticker for the timing and the temperature for the weather. Uh, this main title might be a breaking story, right? CBC TTC shuts down subways, blow line. Okay, and then it'll be like suicide attempt causes havoc, or bombing scare, whatever. And this is a graphic that you use in news broadcasting. Anyways, so in Photoshop, and you're probably thinking, why use Photoshop for video? Well, believe it or not, it's used a lot in video for graphics. What I'm going to do here is go File, New, and I'll show in the class how you can just drop a preset. And there's different industries you can work with: paper, print, photo, web, creating mobile devices and apps, and then you have film and video. If you drop down the size, you have some of your typical ones. Me personally, I like using the HD TV 1080p by 29.97. Okay, you'll notice that is a 1920 by 1080 at a resolution of 72, and it's using the RGB color mode because it's screen. I'm going to drop this down into a transparency because I want the background to be transparent. If you didn't do that, don't worry, you can always fix that afterwards. But if you want to do it right from the get-go, do that. All right, so you have essentially your interface that is the 1920 by 1080. It's going to be designed and ready for After Effects or Premiere or Final Cut, whatever software you want to use. One thing I want to explain are these little lines here. It comes preset, and I was explaining to the class that on a CRT, a cathode ray TV, cathode ray tube TV, an old school television, sometimes the edges will be beveled, and any information within this first safety zone might get cut off. So you would never put text in this zone, this being the edge of the screen to the first safety margin. That's like a no-no. Don't put any text or graphics there because it might be cut off. This is like the second safety zone. If you put it in between here, you may or may not be able to see it. So most part, try to avoid any text graphics within these two zones. Okay. All right. So some of the basics in Photoshop, guys. I'm going to just explain the mask tool. Okay. These mask tools, I'm going to show you the rectangular marquee tool. I'm going to literally just click and drag a rectangle. Okay. Say it's this wide. And it's considered like a mask. So if I were to grab a paintbrush, so I'll just show you the tools right here. If you click and hold, there's different types of brushes. I'm going to choose paintbrush. Pick a size of brush if you like, even different styles of brushes. Okay, so, and if I were to draw right now, it would draw this red in this style. Notice it's not going outside the box because it's being masked by the mask I just created. Okay, if I didn't have a mask, I'll press Command D. I'll repeat that, Command D. And if I were to draw, it would go anywhere because there's nothing holding it in. I'm going to go Command Z, go back a step, and let you guys know that all these steps you're doing are stored in the history. Yeah. Okay. So go back to brush. My tool's there. If I wanted to brush another color, just double click, go to your color histogram. Say I wanted this color green. Maybe I'm doing a Christmas special. And check this out. On my keyboard, see what the P is? Next to the P's are two parentheses, the open and closed. If I go open parentheses, it drops it down, and close increases it. So it's like smaller and bigger. Okay, so you can actually brush size on the fly, and you'll notice on the top left-hand side, as I'm doing this right here, you can see that the brush sizes changes incrementally with that as well. Okay, so I'm gonna just say reduce my brush size here, and now I'm gonna brush in this green. Right? You can also play with the opacity and flow, which dictates how transparent it is. So you can see it's a little lighter. The cool thing to remember here is everything is being confined to that actual shape. Okay, cool. Guys, on the bottom right-hand corner, I'll just zoom in here, you have your thing called layers. Okay, and here I'm going to create a new layer, and it allows me to make a new graphic. Now I'm going to show you the gradient tool, okay, which is found right over here. If you click and hold, you see a gradient tool. Notice I'm on a different layer, okay? Now, right now, I have a light blue to green foreground. There's some other preset colors. I'm gonna use this one, but you know what? I'm gonna change the color to something dark and to blue. So notice that's the colors I have right there. I'm gonna create a diagonal line across my screen, and it's gonna fade from that black to that blue. Now you're probably wondering, sir, what happened to that greenish, reddish graphic you did? Well, it's below. This is where I'm going to change the layer orientation and it shows up. So remember, Photoshop works on layers, kind of similar to Premiere and After Effects and Final Cut. They can layer things on top of each other. Okay. So we have our background. Imagine you're doing a news broadcast and you're chroma keyed out. You have that as your background. You can have your physical image on top of that, and then you have your graphics layer. Okay. Last thing I'm going to show you right now is the text tool. I'm going to click and start typing out. I'll just type out my name. Okay. You can highlight it, change the font color. It's different from the foreground or background because it's just affecting the text. Right. So white's okay. And if you don't like the font, just drop down and look at the font that you would like. Okay. It's pretty simple that way. I'm going to grab my move tool, which allows me to move the graphic to the position it needs to. Notice I have my text not over here because the DAV might be cut off. Okay. And I don't want to take a risk of just having it there. It may or may not show depending on the screen or television's on. So to play it safe, anything that needs to be read has to be avoiding those two safety margins. Now the graphic, I'm not too worried because if it gets cut off or not, I don't mind it because it's only a graphic. Okay. Um, yeah, so the move tool, make sure you have the auto select and show transform controls on. That helps you shrink or increase the size. And if you hold shift, it can be proportioned. Okay, if I wanted to do this, it could do that as well. Okay, and to see that, if you don't have those on, I'll apply it. You won't see the graphic getting changed. So make sure you have those features on for you to change them. Okay. One of the features I wanted to show you guys as well is the drop shadow feature. If I double click the layer, well, if I double click on the text, I can actually rename it. So I'll say box. But if you just double click to the side of it, I have this box that pops up. So I'll show you that again. If I double click on it, a box pops up. There's other cool features. I'm just going to show you the drop shadow feature. Okay. What this does, it actually allows you to put a drop shadow underneath the graphics. If you click on that box, you can play with the styles, the angle, the distance away from it. Do you guys see it growing as I do that incrementally? You guys see that? If you don't want black, you can choose a different color. But I personally like black. And the angle as well, you can play the position of it. But I think it makes sense to go from the right coming to left. Okay? And you can always adjust that afterwards by double clicking and say, hey, I don't want that. So just unclick it and you get rid of it. If not, if you like it, just keep it check marked. There's other cool stuff you can do. I'm not going to bother showing it. Maybe experiment when you have a chance. All right, so there I have a lower third graphic ready to go into After Effects. So what I'm going to do is save this. And I'll just put this on my desktop for now. I'm going to call this lower third graphic. And just save it as its native Photoshop format, a PSD file. Okay. When you go to After Effects, you're just importing the actual graphic. And remember, the key important thing here is it's layered. They're all separate. So you can adjust the background, the box, and the text and do something cool and animated in After Effects. Okay? This is the part where you messed up or lost. Okay. So here's my After Effects. I'm going to import that Photoshop file. Okay? So I double click on my folder bin. It's that simple. You can press Command I or go to File, Import. And let's just go to my lower third graphic. Uh, One thing is important right here. This is probably where you messed up. Is don't bring it as footage. Bring it as composition and retain the layer size. That's important to know, and I'll explain why. I'm gonna press open, and you want just verify that's the choice you selected. I said I want to edit layer styles. Awesome. Press OK. So what's cool is it brings a comp. Oops, cancel. And all the layers are there. It's separate. You guys see that? And that gives me the flexibility to do something like this. If I go drop down, transform, I'm just going to do a basic animation. You should know how to animate based on those lessons I told you guys to watch on Video Copilot. Okay? But just to refresh your memory, say I want to do a simple position. I'm going to activate my stopwatch. Yeah, I see that right there. I applied a keyframe. And then maybe, say, 20 seconds later, I add another keyframe. What I'm going to do here is go back by clicking on this. I'm going to have my graphic actually off the screen. I'm going to keep holding shift so it keeps the same line. Okay, so my graphics off the screen, and as I move forward, it goes towards my screen. So my keyframe A is off the screen, positioned to the left, and my other keyframe is over here. Now, if you want to do something else funky with it, I'm not saying you would want to, I'll click and drag right here at this point, and it will mathematically adjust that as well. Now, not really good animation, but you could if you wanted to. Okay, move your timeline, add new keyframes. So voila. Another thing I can do, say my base layer, I'm going to just animate the opacity. Let's activate the opacity here, so it's 100%, and I'll go to the beginning with my timeline and say I want the opacity to be 0. What the computer will do, it'll tween in between those two frames, and so I'm animating the opacity of it, so the see-throughness of it. Because the background's black, it's fading the black into the color. And it's also animating my text. Let's just say I want to animate the box. I'll do something really cheesy just to show you different options. I'll do a rotation. So there, it's normal. Say a few frames later, I actually increase the rotation. And then I'll bring it back. Or keep it on an angle. Sick. And remember, you can apply multiple animations. I can also scale and sizes up. So it's normal there. And by here, it's increased its scale. Kind of cheesy. But anyways, have fun with the program. Those are pretty much it, guys. Also, save your file. And yeah, show me your exploration of animation skills, your ability to move motion graphic. And then we'll do something cool when we do a chroma key again. Bring somebody in, and you can have them doing the news or weather in your motion graphic. Is that cool?